Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
This is the HAN Network, the leader for local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in Southwestern Connecticut and beyond.
Out there, welcome to Nutmeg Sports. Donald Ing here, filling in for Rob Adams, joined by Mike Suppe, HAN editor to my right. It's a beautiful day out there if you happen to be a fan of stifling heat and soul-crushing humidity. It is also beautiful because it's the first day of football practice for about half the schools out in the state. The other half going to get going in about 5 more days. We've got a great show for you today at 2:30. We'll be joined by Sam Faber, director of youth hockey at Chelsea Piers CT. She recently signed a pro contract to play for the newly launched CT Whale of the National Women's Pro Hockey League. But first, Mike, big day in the Southern Connecticut Conference last night, Media Day. How'd that go?
It was good. We were over, everybody assembled at the Floyd Little Athletic Center. We had all the coaches, some players. Everybody got to, have a nice little chat, and it was a great event for getting ready to kick off the football season, so to speak.
And, of course, one of the stars of the show of Media Day there for the SCC, Commissioner Al Carbone. He joins us on the phone now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tom. Mike, how you guys doing?
Doing great. So, what were your impressions? It's another season. I'm sure hope springs eternal. What are your thoughts as the SCC embarks on their 21st, 22nd season?
22nd. Looking forward to another big year in the SCC. We've been very blessed in our 21 years. We've won 27 state titles in the sport of football. We have some really good programs, and I think this year is going to be an interesting one because for the first time in a number of years, I think you're going to see we've had a lot of balance in our league, but there's not really a clear favorite. There's some teams that have high expectations, and I'm sure all of them do, but I think for the first time, there's not really one that is jumping out at people saying, wow, they're going to be that good. So that promotes a lot of, I guess you can say, enthusiasm and promise for a lot of those teams.
Right. Now, I know in our coverage area, the buzz is surrounding mostly is about Shelton. A lot coming back for the Gales, and they're looking for a big year this year. What's the scuttlebutt? What are you hearing about them?
Well, they lost their, a great player, our SEC Player of the Year, Mark Piccirillo, their quarterback, but they got some studs back. And Jeff Roy does a great job with that Shelton program. And, it's funny because when we look at our league over the 21 years, Shelton is has the second most wins in the 21 years. And if you look at their, record year by year, they're one of our most consistent programs. They have not had less than 6 wins in 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in each of those 9 years. So they've averaged 7 or more wins in the last 9 years. So he's developed a really great program, and just by the looks of what they have returning, they're going to be pretty good, and definitely a top 10 team in the state.
Another thing that was a big focus of the media night is all the teams with new coaches this year. I believe the most in conference history. 6 new head coaches. Just talk a little bit about the turnover this year.
Well, I'd say this. I think it's very difficult to be a high school coach, especially nowadays. And I say that difficult in the sense of, most high school sports is a 12-month-a-year thing. As much as they say there's rules and you can't do coaching out of season and stuff, and I'm not blaming or accusing coaches of doing that, but it is a 12-month. You have to be on these kids. Like every coach last night talked about, we had a great off-season weightlifting. We were in 7-on-7 league. The kids were organized. And so when, you have new coaches, that's a big ordeal. And when you have 6 out of the 19 having new head coaches, some of them were assistants, some of them, had been in the league before, so they know the thing, kind of the ordeal that they have to go through. That's a big change, and that's something I think as a whole you have to look at and say, why is that? We have some coaches with 20 plus years experience. We have some coaches who are in the 10 to 15 year range. we have a lot of coaches who have been there less than 10 years. And, and now with 6, entering their first season, that's something that I wouldn't say a cause of concern, but, every coach, regardless of sports, wants continuity. Now they have to build some continuity. So it'd be interesting to see how those 6 programs do. And on a positive side, anytime you get a new coach, there's also an uptick in participation. They always say a new coach brings maybe 10 to 15 more players. So those programs that may have had low numbers before, I'm interested to see if they've gotten more participation numbers as they start practice.
And you raise an interesting point about the new coaches, because obviously, when you get into coaching, the goal is to be a head coach. But you're seeing a lot of the coaches that are leaving programs that are still sort of in what you would consider the prime of their coaching careers, and the reason they're giving is family obligations. That the way the season has expanded, it just there's really no off season for them anymore. And obviously, sports are important. We're sports fans. You work in the field, but but family, of course, family obligations always important for these coaches. So, is there any thought? I mean, I know a lot of these programs are sort of optional, or they're not mandatory. But is there any thought to limiting to an extent some of these off-season obligations?
Well, it's funny. I'll answer your question in a couple ways. One, I think, too, is that nothing's not mandatory anymore. I think the pressures that we've put on youth in youth sports, there's nothing that's not mandatory anymore. And I think we've seen the pressure environments with the travel, the AAU at such a young age, and I think that builds its way up to high school. Secondly, yes, it is 12 months because the lifting, the 7-on-7s, the new rules regarding safety that are going to see in the sport of football, especially with concussions and the number of quarters that in these practices and preseason scrimmages. There's a lot of regulations going on right now. And so what happens is that why would someone want to go and, invest a lot of time and effort? Again, you're not even talking about the actual practice. You're talking about dealing with kids. You're dealing with the preparation of the paperwork, making sure that, you're following up with kids with treatment. And, if kids get hurt, the psychological aspect of, motivating and getting kids to, be interested and be focused, throughout the season and, throughout the 12 months as well. And also, too, is what's the impact of kids playing other sports? We've seen, like concepts like pay to play. We've seen concepts of, I'm only going to focus on this one sport because this is the chance I can get a scholarship. And all these factors right now play a role into, like, how you're coaching a team and how you're developing your process and, your plan of attack. It's actually very concerning to me because, again, like in West Haven, we have Rich Brochet, who has been an assistant for, 30 years under Ed McCarthy. He's waited his turn. But, it's his chance to be the head coach. And, is it going to be a continuity of what, Coach McCarthy had? Or is it going to be, if this is Rich Brochet's way or the highway? And, all these other factors and variables that are adding into it, it's be interesting to see, what's the effect.
I just wanted to mention, Coach, while we have you on the line here, we know football is obviously the big thing for fans. Anyone listening out there wants to join the conversation, you can hit us up at Nutmeg Sports. You can tweet me at Donald Ing. Mike Suppe, of course, also has his Twitter page, and Al here, SCC Commissioner. So any comments, thoughts, insights, furious smack talk, feel free to join the conversation. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the media night. What can you say? Second year in a row, is it going to be something that we can look forward to next summer and summers beyond that?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because last year we always bantered around with it and said we should do something, and we did it last year, and we're actually trying to do it, before the season, before practice starts, because again, the media guys and yourself included, you want to get as much information before the season starts. And also, too, is everyone's positive. They're talking about the off season. They have a lot of, the optimism of what's going on. They haven't started practice, kids haven't gotten hurt, let them come out. So, yes, we will do that every year. I think it was very happy to have 19 school parent coaches there to come talk about their teams. And I think it's actually more important for the student athlete because, they come, they're being recognized, and I like to do things first class in our league, and I think we do things in a first class way. helping the media get the information, get the access to the coaches, but also for these student athletes to understand that, hey, they have a responsibility. They're captains of their teams, or they're star players. They have to learn, one, how to deal with the media. Two, they also have to learn a little bit about the responsibility of being a captain, that it's not just, hey, I get to score touchdowns and make tackles, is that I've got to be a role model for younger kids in their community, and that, in our school, that people are looking up to us and expecting a little bit more from being a student athlete, and try to, resonate that interest too. And one of the things that all those captains did last night, before the media day, they had to go listen with their coaches to our officials chairperson who talked about the new rules in the sport, because these kids are going to be the ones on the field talking, interacting with the referees and the officials on the field. So if they have an idea, they're going to be better in helping what the officials are trying to, obviously legislate and officiate during the games.
Now, talk about some of these rule changes as far as practice and preparing your team goes. I think I've seen some limits on practice time, limits on contact. What are some of the new rules and challenges that the coaches are going to face this year?
Well, I think the most important thing that people have to understand is that they have, the CIAC, in supposedly talking to all the stakeholders, and that could be debated in many ways, but is limiting the number of quarters that these kids can play and have contact during the season, especially the preseason. They're trying to limit that. They didn't limit that they're still going to have playoff games in December, but they're limiting, and so all of the coaches and the athletic directors and the trainers have to document the number of quarters that a quarter is defined as a play, number of play during these games during the year. But in the preseason, it's the number of hours in which you have actual contact during practice. So obviously, as all of us has grown up and you watch movies and glorified, these drills that are ferocious and physical. That's not happening anymore. And then I'll be honest with you, hasn't been happening anyway, because these coaches are smart enough to know that they want to keep these kids healthy and safe and teach the right fundamentals. So that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest adjustment. And you're seeing it in the preseason. Usually a team would scrimmage probably 3 or 4 times, maybe practice with another school. That's all being counted as physical contact. And they've limited that drastically. And so you might see it. And one of the coaches last night said to me afterward, he is actually worried about week 1 and week 2 because he doesn't think his team is going to be physically ready or really maybe up to speed because of the limited number of preseason scrimmages that they could have. So he was interested to see in week 1, week 2 whether that is going to have an impact, whether it might have an impact on injuries, because kids aren't really because it's such a physical sport, you kind of get used to it. And that's a concern. That's also a concern. I understand from the safety element that they want to limit concussions, and there's been legislation and a lot of stuff in the media going about that and the impacts there. But it's totally been something that it's going to be really. I think this is like a test year. Are there injuries from the sport? Are kids getting tired? Are kids getting hurt? And I think this year you're going to see it's going to be a lot of data that's going to result from it.
You're listening to Nutmeg Sports. We're joined by Commissioner Al Carbone out of the Southern Connecticut Conference. One of the things you just mentioned was getting your team ready for week 1 and 2 for these football coaches. And that brings me to a topic that I know you love talking about. We hear they call it the meat grinder, the gauntlet. Tell us about that SCC Division I schedule. There is really nothing else in the state like it.
No, there isn't. And, it's funny because I always say membership has its benefits, like being a part of the membership, and playing there. And so you have, we have probably 7 or 8 elite teams. When I say elite teams, I'm thinking top 20 in the state that can hold their own against anybody. And they're all playing each other. And what happens is that other leagues in the state, their best 7 teams aren't all playing each other. And so am I putting, as a league, putting our teams at risk? Because they have to play each other and beat each other up. And as every coach said last night, I joked with them. I said, I'm going to find you $5 every time you say the word meat grinder and you have a difficult schedule. But, again, it is a reality of it. And, and then on the flip side, from a competitive standpoint, the kids, do they care? No, because they just want to play football games and remember those 10 games regardless of whether they win or lose, and trying to get into the playoffs. On the flip side is that you get through that schedule like a 12-0 Shelton last. They were top 3 in the state, and obviously unfortunately they lost to an SEC team in the state title game. They're ready. They've gone through it, and we've had historically teams that have been elite teams have gone through a tough schedule, and that's prepared them in the state playoffs because a team like Xavier went up against an 11-0 Newtown team and beat them. A Middletown team was 11-0. They lost to Notre Dame and West Haven in the Class L playoffs. Every year you have these examples of these teams that probably play less than stellar regular season schedules competitive-wise to the playoffs, and they lose their first game because they're not battle tested. So there's two ways to look at it. It's difficult. We're trying to, we're going to have a discussion in our league about scheduling, football scheduling, where it's coming up. And one of the things that I've, this district model is something that's bantered about, and I'll be honest with you, I like it because our league doesn't have a league championship game. We're not the FCAC. I don't know why they still do that, and they've changed some stuff. I'm interested to see how that affects their teams to qualify for the state playoffs and doing what they're doing. But the district model, but I also think that other leagues should kind of open up their corridors, I say, and join and just have a big statewide football league. And that's the district model. So make sure the double L schools can play the double L schools, the L schools play the L schools. Why is it that if you're a double L school like Shelton, you have to play Cheshire, you have to play Pacific Prep, you have to play a lot of great teams, on your schedule already. Why can't they play other teams around the state? Why can't they play Newtown? Why can't they play Pomperaug? It would be nice to see them play, in Trumbull like they did in the NASDAQ challenge that we had a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. So, I think we have to start thinking outside of our leagues and barriers because I think football as a sport is under siege because I have a bad feeling that 10-game regular season is going to become a 9-game regular season. It could become an 8-game regular season. There'll still be the 3 rounds of playoffs, but I have a feeling, just like other states, that they may just decrease those number of games because of the safety issue. And it's a meat grinder of a schedule, and I think maybe we're one of the causes of that. But I also get frustrated watching other leagues have, see their teams make the playoffs and go, 9-1 or 10-1 in a season, and they hadn't played anybody, and that bothers me.
And that is also something that hurts some of the smaller schools in your league. That in the era of the crossover, some teams that might have been there if they weren't crossing over against a double L Division I team. And do you think that affects some of the smaller schools when they had to play those bigger teams?
Well, sure it does, because I think you have to be perfect. Like in the past, we've had 2 crossovers. We've had teams like Foreign, a couple years ago, go 8-3 and not make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And and they're a Class M team, and that was a year I think it was St. Joe's of Trumbull had won the Class M title, and St. Joe was a great team, but Foreign was probably the second best team in Class M. They didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They would have been if they made the playoffs, they would have been the 8th seed, and I think would have given St. Joe's a decent game, but those are all, ifs, ands, and buts. But I'm just saying right now is that, yes, those smaller schools are Division II teams, some of them help. Like, look at Hill House. Hill House has won 3 state championships in the last 10 years because they've, navigated through their Division II schedule, but they've played good Division I teams that has prepared them. So when they get to the state playoffs at the Class M level, they've been able to beat good teams. And again, but you have to be perfect. And now football's, it's only 10 games, and one loss. Unfortunately, we had a team, Jonathan Law, Devin go 9-1 and didn't make the playoffs. So there's numerous examples, and that's been always a big topic of controversy and conversation in our league, in our administrators and coaches.
Coach, you brought up Hill House, and you brought up the potential for a reduced schedule, and that brings me to a point that I've always made is that one of the things that makes high school football special is that for as hard as it is, for as intense as it is, you don't get to do it very often. You don't get to run into your home stadium more than 5 times a year, and that brings me to Hill House. Can you talk about the state of that program? I mean, are they ever going to have a home game?
They will. Hopefully, when Bowen Field is finished, it's still unfinished. It's not going to be ready this year. Actually, in Lyman Hall, in the same boat, right? Too, is they're adding turf and actually Hamden too. So some of their games have been affected. I think he'll also be fine. One of the biggest things in our 22 years is that without lights, the two New Haven schools have always played on Friday afternoons, and people used to always say that's one of the biggest home field advantages because of the coaches are creatures of habit. Friday night 7:00, and we plan our whole week and how we practice. People used to always say the toughest game is getting your kids out of school a little bit early and riding that bus on 95 and getting to the house on a Friday afternoon. Different weather maybe or temperature and there. So, but from what I was told from the New Haven people is that Bonefield's going to get done. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. Just like anything, there's been some political squabbling and as well as some construction delays, but they'll end up doing. If you think about it, they're going over the Jesdale Field, which is literally less than a mile from their school, and playing at a pretty nice college stadium. So, again, they've never had played on turf, and they've used turf a lot, which is to their advantage because they've always been focused on speed, and that's why they've been so successful at the state level. So, it is nice to be at your own home field, but I think to get to play at a college facility is good for now. But I think it is growing wearisome on them not having that Bone Field fixed and ready to go. And hopefully by next year it happens.
Very good. Commissioner, we had just one more thing from me anyway. Christopher Kalin, old buddy Cato out there, tweets in. He's asking, why be a commissioner or why be a conference if there's no championship game? Can you expand on that? You touched upon that earlier, but if you can maybe expand your thoughts on a conference with no championship game.
Well, I actually agree with that because I'm the first one that wants a football championship game because there's benefits to it. There's benefits to crown a league champion and do that. However, decisions are made before and how you schedule, and right now, and I'll say this way. If you ask any kid in any town, in any city, and whatever, and as they get ready for their high school, what's the number one goal they have on their bulletin board? Win a state championship. Maybe win a league championship or a division title is the next, one of the next two goals. In our league, our coaches for the 22 years and our administrators have backed them up and said is that we don't want to have a football championship game. We'd rather focus Thanksgiving Day game, rivalries, and that's why we've played such a competitive regular season schedule. And so coaches in our league have said to us, hey, as tough as our schedule is, I'm not going to play, say, if I'm Shelton. I'm going to play Xavier maybe in week 4 or week 5. And there's a good likely chance if we're, good at the end of the season, we're going to see each other. After we play them in an SEC championship game to stuff in between our Thanksgiving Day game and to get ready for us to make the playoffs. That's the reality. Is it we're not a league? No, I could still carry the banner and say, yeah, these guys are part of our league. As you saw last night at our media night, our coaches generally get along together. They support each other. We talked about we have an incident at one of our schools at Daniel Hand where one of the student athletes actually had a kind of a bad fall, jumping into the water. Could be paralyzed. And Steve Filippone, who's the Daniel Hand coach, is like, pray for him. And everybody there was like, somber and said, yeah, support each other. It's the camaraderie of being in the league. Unfortunately, in the sport of football, we have it in every other sport, but we have a league championship, we don't. But I'd rather see our teams win state championships in the sport of football knowing that they play the tough regular season schedule and that they blow into it because it does prepare them to win the state championship. So, winning another league title, but in the end, ultimately, you're judged by the number of state championships that you win. And when you win 27 in 21 years, just 3 years ago, we've won 3 out of the 4 state titles. That says a lot about, I think we're a pretty good league and we're still a league, and we can carry that banner around.
Okay. SCC Commissioner Al Carbone, thank you very much for joining us on Nutmeg Sports. And
thanks, guys. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll have you back on as the season progresses.
I'll be seeing you on the gridiron,
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd love to do it.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you're listening to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. We're going to take a quick break and be back. We're going to have some more video and commentary from Mike Suppe on SCC Media Night. We'll be right back.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark Building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332 and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are going to be here. Be there as some of the world's best women compete for the title at the Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies. And the boys are back for the Men's Legends event presented by PowerShares Series with John McEnroe, James Blake, and more. Experience a variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, and so much more for the kids and family. It all adds up to one legendary week. August 21st through the 29th at the Connecticut Tennis Center in New Haven. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
You're watching and listening to the HAN Network.
And more specifically, you're watching and listening to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Donald Ing here, joined by Mike Suppe, John Kovach, AJ Simonowski, running the audio and visual controls. We just had Commissioner Al Carbone of the SCC on the line, and he was talking about a near tragedy that took place in Madison. A hand football player dove into the water at the surf club and just fell awkwardly and is temporarily paralyzed. He appears to be making pretty good progress. And he mentions Coach Filippone's comments about his player. Filippone said, "We had a real tragedy. One of our senior players dove into the sea at the surf club, Joe Barber." He says, "I know every football player has a kinship with every other football player that bonds us together, win or lose." Also, senior captain Reed Schweitzer said, "It puts it in the back of our minds when we're tired, when we're running. This kid is lying in a hospital bed wishing he was running with us. You have to keep him in your head and do everything you can." He has regained significant mobility, and word we have is that he has vowed to his teammates that he will be back and rejoin them. So that is what we have. That was that. And then so Mike, you were at Media Day, got some videos there and some commentary from some of the folks that were there. Why don't you just kind of walk us through some of that?
I was, the first, they started off with the Division II schools, and we had Foreign High there with Coach Jeff Bavino, and, he got up on the podium and spoke a little bit, and we have some of that here right now.
We're very fortunate to have you as our commissioner. You run a great show. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I always allude to the fact that I've been a head coach in the FCAC, I've been a head coach in the SWC, and now I'm lucky enough to, I can't say lucky enough, but to be in the SCC. I want to welcome all the new coaches to our league. You guys better cross your T's and dot your I's, fellas. This is a tough league. A lot of great coaches, a lot of great players. But again, welcome and good luck. I don't know. Am I the only one who misses Ed McCarthy, waiting for him to get up here to speak? I know he always had some good stories to make us laugh. He will be missed. I want to thank the media for all that you do for high school football. You guys do a tremendous job. And I've been around for a long time. It says in here that I've been in 17 years. Well, there's 23 years missing. and I've never had. Again, the game has never been as exciting as it is right now, and you guys have a lot to do with it. Thank you very much. Again, playing in this league, you really have to work hard. And last year, we were very young. And first and foremost, I want to introduce my captain. One of my captains right now is Mike Howell. He's a 3-year starter for us. He's an inside linebacker. We usually wait for the first week of camp to pick our remaining captains, but Mike has stood out with his leadership throughout the preseason. And again, I want to thank Mike for all he does for us. We were very young last year. We started 6.
That was some poor camera work by me at the end there. The phone fell out of my hand.
We like to thank Mike for what he does for us too. We'll join Coach Bavino there.
And then also, after that, we had Jonathan Law coach Derek Lewis up there to talk, and he broke down a little bit of what to expect from the Lawmen this year.
They say Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, but somebody must have got that memo wrong, because obviously SEC football here in the state of Connecticut is the most wonderful time of the year. Don't you agree? All right, so just represent. I know you do, Sean. If anybody has my back, it's Sean Patrick Bowley. I know that. Very exciting year for us. Just as many of you around the room, kids been working out in the weight room. We're all about attitude down there in the south part of Milford, and the kids took tremendous leaps last year, being faced with adversity of all types, and mustering, I think, a very, very successful year. So we look for more of the same there. Tonight we also follow the old school suit. We don't name captains until the day before our last scrimmage game. But 3 of our aspiring captains are here tonight. If they can stand up, Joe Corey, who's a 3-year starter at the school. He's a linebacker and a halfback for us. Next to him is Dave Patrick, who also is a 3-year starter at the school. 3-year starter is a defensive back and halfback for us as well. Tim Caldwell, also another 3-year starter in the program, who is also a fullback and a linebacker for us. More importantly, which makes me more proud, is all 3 of the students have over a 3.4 GPA in school. So when we talk about the essence of a student athlete, we're chock full of them there at Jonathan Law. What we're looking to do is just like everybody else, we're looking to compete to the highest, to our degree. We're looking to, compete well in our division and compete well in the league overall. Again, very excited to start camp tomorrow.
And finally, we had Shelton High. Head coach Jeff Roy was unable to make it, but he had assistant Dan Dunai there to speak.
Happy to be here. 2015 Shelton Gales are excited about the season. Lots of goals ahead of us. First thing I'd like to do is introduce our captains. For my right, Ron Hubbard, linebacker, fullback. Alex Kirk, linebacker, tight end. And Pete Hoff, running back, strong safety. These guys have done a great job as leaders for us in the weight room throughout spring football and throughout the summer. We're really excited about the season coming up. We have 8 starters returning on offense. Unfortunately, Mark Piccarillo graduated, but we have 2 capable replacements in Matt Wells and David Wells and Zach Duskowski, 2 people we believe could do the job for us. We have 4 offensive linemen back and 3 receivers and running back. So we should be sound on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, our biggest challenge is we have to replace our defensive line. We graduated all 3 of our starters. We have a handful of people we think we could play there. We returned 6 starters on defense, whole secondary. Kicking wise, we return the kicker, Joe Zappi, and we also return our punter, Kevin Robinson. We've been working really hard. These kids, they've been going through a lot during the summer. We're ready to go. Starting Friday, obviously we go in, and we have a short off season, a short preseason like everyone else in here, with waiting the 5 days to go. But we got some goals here. We're looking to make the postseason. Again, last year we had a good season. Would have been great if we could finish the deal at the end. But I think this year the kids are a little more motivated to go. You can win your $5 because yes, we do play a tough schedule just like everyone else in here. And I hope everyone stays healthy and good luck to everyone.
I like that. Coach Lewis of Jonathan Law talking about the south side of Milford. That's the baddest part of town. That's how we do things on the south side.
Foreign and Law, it's one of the better rivalries in the state, in my opinion, not just because I'm biased, because I went to Foreign.
I was about to say, you're a big fan there, and of course, I waited until you talked because I didn't want to get the wrong school. That would have been dangerous for me. So where's the buzz? I know Commissioner Carbone said that the league is as wide open this year as it's ever been. I know that Shelton's getting some buzz. Notre Dame seems to be returning a lot. Of course, my alma mater, Fairfield Prep, trying to reload. But when you graduate a starting quarterback, as Shelton did, it's never easy the next year back.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the team to watch is West Haven High. Rich Boucher stepping in for Connecticut legend, Coach McCarthy, and they're bringing back a lot of skill players from last year, including their quarterback, Tim McCarthy, and I think they're going to be primed for a pretty far run into the postseason. If they can get there, because their schedule is not easy, as we've mentioned before on here, with the schedule these teams play, but they're a team to keep an eye on. I think that might be a little under the radar right now.
Yeah, Coach Boucher looking like he's been putting in some work in the weight room himself there. Just looking at some of the pictures that SPB tweeted of him. So, big things perhaps in store for West Haven. Of course, I'll be at the Thanksgiving Day game wearing red. Sorry, Coach, but it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I've actually covered that Thanksgiving game 2 out of the past 3 years, and it's been a tough ending for Prep in 2 out of the 3 of those, with a loss basically sealing their fate of not making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's and it just compounds the misery. I'm cold, it's blustery, and my team loses, and I don't have a playoff game to look forward to. That's just that's never a good feeling. But we're going to step out, take a quick break. We're going to be back with Sam Faber. She is the youth hockey director at Chelsea Piers, Connecticut, and newly announced that she has signed to play professional women's hockey with the CT Whale for the inaugural season of the National Women's Hockey League coming up this year. You'll be hearing from Sam right after this. You're listening to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are going to be at the Connecticut Open, presented by United Technologies. Live music, food trucks, plus the superstars of women's tennis and the Men's Legends event, presented by the Power Shares Series, August 21st through the 29th. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
This is the HAN Network.
Back here on Nutmeg Sports. Boy, this hour is just flying by. It is a steamy Monday afternoon here in Connecticut, and we are joined now by Sam Faber, the youth hockey director at Chelsea Piers, Connecticut, who has also become the first announced player for the newly formed CT Whale in the National Women's Hockey League that begins play this year. Sam, thank you for coming on Nutmeg Sports.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Well, I guess the obvious first question is, how did you get into playing ice hockey? I mean, it's commonplace now, but when you started, it probably wasn't, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that common back in the day. I mean, it's definitely growing now, which is great for the sport. But I started getting into hockey because my dad played as a kid, and he played in college. So I grew up following the New York Islanders, and I fell in love with the game.
So an Islanders fan, of course. Mount Sinai, New York, where you're from. How was the? Now, tell us about some of the highlights of your career up to now. I mean, you've played professionally. You've played at a very high level in college and in some of the amateur ranks. What are some of the highlights?
Yep, I went to University of New Hampshire where we won 4 hockey championships when I was there. We also went to 2 Frozen Fours, which is great. During my career there, I also played on the U.S. national team. In 2008, I went to China and won a gold medal for the World Championships, and that was obviously an unbelievable experience to wear that jersey. After college, I played in the CWHL for the Boston Blades for a year, and now I am continuing my coaching career at Chelsea Piers, and it's extremely exciting.
Right. Now, tell us about this National Women's Hockey League. It's a new league starting up this year. What are some of the things that we're going to see? Some of your competition, and what should we see out of the Connecticut Whale?
Yeah, it's a newly formed league. It's really exciting because it's a big step in the growth of the women's team. Right now, there's 4 teams in the league. I think if we have a good year, they'll look to expand that a little bit. But the competition is Buffalo, Boston, and New York. Our team is coming together pretty well. Actually, one of my line mates from UNH just signed a couple weeks ago, so that's pretty exciting. I don't know everybody on the team as of now, but we're looking to kick it into gear in mid-September, I think, for practices. So we're looking forward to that, and it should be a great season with tremendous competition. Some of the best players in the world will be out there.
So how do you think, your high-level hockey experience will help the Whale coming in there? I mean, you're the 5th all-time leading scorer in school history at New Hampshire. What do you think they can rely on your experience of playing in another, high-level college and another professional league as the season starts up?
Yeah, I think I'll be one of the older girls on the team, so I can take my experiences and definitely help them out. My game is kind of a point producer. I try and create offensive abilities by being creative and a little bit of a playmaker as well. So I'll use that, but I'll also use my experiences to teach the girls to kind of stay calm through adversity and just try and bring everything I've learned over the years. And I've been coached by many great people, and I've learned a few things in my coaching career as well that I hope to take to the team.
Who's the toughest player you ever played against?
Oh, that's a tough question. I got to be honest, Sarah Valancourt, she's a Canadian women's Olympic player. She played at Harvard when I was at UNH. I think she's one of the top players I played against, but I've played against many of them.
One of the things you said that I thought was interesting is, you can't wait. It's got to be a big thrill. You're a youth coach, and you're going to have your kids come out and watch you play professionally. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, I feel extremely grateful and lucky for this opportunity because we're playing out of the building where I'm the hockey director. So I coach hundreds of kids that come in and out of here all year long, and for them to be able to come and watch me and see kind of what I've been coaching them throughout my time here is I feel very lucky, and it's going to be an awesome experience.
And so what age do you coach?
I coach a few different ages. Here at Chelsea Piers, I do mostly U10-year-olds, girls and boys. And then for the Darien Ice Cats, I coach a U14 girls team.
Now, coaching at the youth level, and you get to see firsthand how it's grown at the high school level in the state. Is that something that's good to see, that, more programs popping up and more girls getting involved?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I'm from New York originally, and we didn't have, high school girls hockey. So the last 2 years I've gotten to see how Connecticut high school girls hockey is, and it's incredible how much the sport has grown. Even being the youth hockey director here at Chelsea Piers, I mean, there's so many more girls in our camps, in our programs, than there were when I was growing up. And it's really an awesome thing to see, and it's exciting that this league hopefully will give them something to aspire to.
Now, one of the things that's one of the differences that you always see with women's sports, and unfortunately they get compared to men's sports a lot, which in my opinion is kind of a shame, because each one kind of stands on their own merits. But describe the action of a women's hockey game. I mean, if you've never seen it, I mean, these girls, these women, they do bring it.
Yeah, they do. It's a very fast-paced game. There's not full body contact, so I think that there's more creativity on the ice. There's a lot of tough movement and a lot of players that have good hands and good speed. The game's pretty fast if you don't have all that body section, but at the same time, it is very physical. There may not be open ice hits like in the NHL, but there is definitely body contact along the board. And it's really exciting. It's an awesome game, and I hope that a lot of people will come out to see the new league.
Now, tell us a bit about your day job is youth director of hockey at Chelsea Piers. There, tell us about that facility. It's going to be the home rink for the CT Whale. Tell us about Chelsea Piers.
Chelsea Piers is a beautiful facility, and if you haven't been here and you live in the area, I suggest you come take a look. They just built a brand new gym. There's 2 rinks. We'll be in the north rink for our home rink. But honestly, it's the cleanest and most beautiful facility that I've ever skated in, and it's really exciting. There's a ton of good people in this building. Hopefully we'll be able to work out in the new Chelsea Piers Athletic Center, which is top of the line, gorgeous. And I'm extremely grateful again that I get to play where I work.
Great. Yeah, no, some of the other facilities at Chelsea Piers, there's a splash zone, gymnastics training. It's just an all-around, it seems, I've never been there, but it seems like, just from looking at the description, it seems like just an all-around fantastic place. And I imagine that would probably give you guys something of an advantage going into the season, that your home facility also includes things like fitness, cross-training opportunities, things like that. That should have you optimistic going into the season.
Oh, absolutely. I think it also will benefit the fans. I mean, people come here and they drop their kids off for programming, and they get to go to the gym. Siblings get to go to the splash zone. There's always something for a family member to do here, and that's what's so great about this facility.
Great. Okay, so when do you open your season?
Our first home game is October 11th. We're playing the New York Riveters. It's at 1:30 p.m. We're extremely excited about it, but we got to kick it into gear and get some practices on our belt before we can even think about the first game.
Got to get some ice. Got to get some ice under your skates there. Now, how long is it? What is it about? How long is your season? It's a 4-team league, so like a double round robin. What's the season look like?
We have 18 total games, and then there'll be playoffs. So we have at least one game each weekend.
Okay, and of course, all games at Chelsea Piers down in Stamford, Connecticut.
Yes,
right.
That will be all of our home games. Yep.
Right. Exit 9 off of I-95, and you can get more information on that at chelseapiersct.com. Okay. Well, hey, Sam Faber, thank you for joining us on Nutmeg Sports. We'll see if we can get you back on as the season gets a little bit closer, or as you guys progress through your season. We appreciate you coming on Nutmeg Sports.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'd love to come back on and chat with you guys some more.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, you are watching and listening to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back to wrap things up.
It's lots of characters. specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
It's grilling season, and Walter Stewart's Market is your local destination for the finest grill-ready certified Angus beef strip steaks, skirt steaks, 100% grass-fed ribeyes, all-natural pork ribs, Arthur Ave-style kebabs, fresh-cut veggies, delicious grab-and-go salads, chilled rosé wine, and ice-cold craft brews right next door. Walter Stewart's, your fresh local market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and shop online for groceries and wine delivered to your door at stewartsmarket.com.
Kycote Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Kycote's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Kycote Rockefeller Estate, a National Trust for Historic Preservation landmark.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
This is the home of the Fairfield County Interscholastic Athletic Conference, your home for FCAC Sports, the HAN Network.
And we're back out here on Nutmeg Sports. Donald Ing along with Mike Suppe. And as the introduction mentions, we're heading into the FCAC sports season also here on the HAN Network. Now, Mike, you cover a ton of local communities. What's the scuttlebutt around the FCAC this year?
I mean, I have to wait till I get out there to see these teams when they hit the gridiron. But I'm expecting the same old culprits to probably be in the mix there.
That would be, let's see. And of course we always have the interesting kind of the Twitter war between the Southern Connecticut Conference and the FCAC, the Fairfield County Athletic Conference. Clearly the two best conferences in the state, and not really what I would call a universal agreement on which one is superior to the other on any given year. I know Al Carbone, we had him on earlier this afternoon. Commissioner Al Carbone likes to kind of troll the FCAC. He's quite skilled at it, so should be interesting. Preseason for the sports reporters too, huh?
Yeah, getting back in gear after the summer, pretty soon it's going to be preview time, which everybody loves to do, I know. But, aside from football, we have soccer, volleyball, all the cross country, all the other fall sports that are getting ready to kick off today too.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to cover some of those in future episodes of Nutmeg Sports. We've been making some calls, and hopefully we'll get some of those other athletes the recognition and some of the time they deserve here on Nutmeg. And I'm looking over there as John Kovach wearing his Ludlow blue. Mr. Kovach, Coach,
yes, sir.
You start conditioning today, right?
Start conditioning this afternoon. I'll go from here out to do grass drills, though the field isn't ready yet, so we'll probably be on one of the grass fields.
So Ludlow's getting their field redone also?
Correct.
Nice. Okay, because I think I was out there for a charity walk. Very nice, very nice stadium there on the central Fairfield there, right off the Parkway.
Best concession stand in North America.
It is a great concession stand.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
He's open all the time, and kids can get orders in. Like you're in your last period class, you're going into and say what time you want it. There'll be a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich waiting for you.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought the snack bar at Municipal Stadium in Waterbury was good because you could get like Frankie's hot dogs there. But I don't know that you could phone in orders there after school and just walk over.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety, and I've sampled quite a bit of it over the years, and it's definitely, I look forward to going there just based on the concession stand alone.
Well, that's got to be fun when you're a player. Actually, you know, it's funny, not funny, but with me being a Pop Warner dad, apparently I'm being drafted into. I have to volunteer 2 games. And so I was sort of aiming toward snack bar, so because the other option is holding the bucket for the 50-50 raffle, and I don't want to do that. So,
Mike, you want to go up and just order stuff from?
I'm gonna be. I'll take 12 hot dogs and 10 hamburgers and.
Can I get a
case of cold soda?
Can I get a bacon, egg, and cheese? But can I get that on pumpernickel?
Yeah,
I want the bacon well done.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm not telling you guys when our games are. That's.
Oh, I can find out.
Oh, Siri, come on.
Come on.
And that's not true. That's
reporter.
By the way, I do have the fundraising packet there, so I'll just watch the room clear out as I bring that up.
No, please. I'll donate. Somebody said something to me the other day because I wore my Ludlow shirt and hat over to a flea market at Fairfield Ward, which is closer to my house. Oh, what are you doing? I'm like, why wouldn't I come here to support another school? I mean, that's pointless. So speaking of that, tomorrow our first guest coming off, we're scheduled to have Nick Apria and some of the captains from Emmett O'Brien Tech, where they're doing a GoFundMe and a fundraiser to raise money because there's a lot of the cost that the kids are having to bear. So that should be an interesting listen, and that is a program that's very enthusiastic about this coming season.
Yeah, they are, and that's been a program. I know they co-opted with Derby for a couple of years, and I actually was at their very first home game as a solo school. And look, we talk about the SEC and the FCAC, but those tech school kids. They play hard, and they really deserve all the recognition they can get. They deserve the support that we can get because, frankly, they face challenges that a lot of the kids at some of the other schools don't.
It just so happens that I've coached in the SCC, I coach currently in the FCAC, and I coached in the CSC. And I love seeing those kids get the shot. And when Vinny Camara started the program at Platt Tech, one of the stories he tells, he asked, who have played youth ball, and he's got, 50, 60 kids, and 3 of them raised their hands. I mean, there were guys who had never stepped on a football field coming out.
That reminds me of the Vince Lombardi story where he opens training camp, NFL training camp every year, and saying, gentlemen, this is a football.
Pretty much. I do have a note that just came in that kind of is interesting. And the Bridgeport Bluefish just announced that they are going to host the Allen Houston Celebrity Softball Game on Sunday, September 13th. Houston's the former NBA player. This is a 7-inning charity softball game to support Dylan's Wings of Change, which is a foundation established to honor the memory of Dylan Hockley. He was one of the students killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th. 2012. This foundation helps children with autism and related conditions achieve their full potential. So that's coming up on the 13th of September at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. We'll have more about that as that gets a little closer.
Right, and of course, as John mentioned there, also O'Brien Tech football coach and captains tomorrow in studio doing a fundraiser to pay for some athletic equipment there for the Condors. Also tomorrow, Natalie Granger, a U.S. national champion in doubles squash, will be joining us. And you can tune in on Wednesday when Eric Gendron will be co-hosting. He's working as we speak.
We may also tomorrow be discussing Ayrton Senna.
Really?
That's just happening now, and just stay tuned tomorrow because I know that's something you and I will enjoy talking, and it looks like Mike too nodding his head.
Documentary, one of the best sports movies, the Senna documentary, probably one of the top 5 sports movies I've ever seen.
I need to see that now, but I don't know if that won't hit too close to.
Readily available on Netflix, last I checked.
It was on one of the television channels last night.
Really?
Yeah, one of the. I want to say ESPN Classic, and I'm probably wrong, and somebody will be upset with me. But that's how it is.
Thanks, Comcast.
All right. Well, it's coming up on 2:59 here. We're going to start wrapping things up. Thank you to SCC Commissioner Al Carbone, who's joining us to talk about SCC Media Day and the upcoming football season. Also, thank you to Sam Faber, Youth Hockey Coordinator at Chelsea Piers and professional hockey player in the National Women's Hockey League with the CT Whale. We're going to talk to her as that women's season gets a little bit closer to opening in October. And for you, the listeners, thank you for listening to and watching Nutmeg Sports on the HN Network. For Mike Suppe, John Kovach, AJ Simonowski, I'm Donald Ding. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is the HAN Network, the leader for local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in Southwestern Connecticut and beyond.